Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, right now, what is trending is this BBC documentary that, of course, emerged today when Kenyans were shown how rogue soldiers, police officers, actually killed the protesters, the young people. Now, of course, what's not trending is the Ruto's finance bill, 2025. Of course, in a week or so, the government will be unveiling Finance Bill 2025. Now, of course, this should be Finance Bill 2025 versus Gen Z's revenge. The question is, will Kenya explode again after this BBC documentary? Now, of course, there are some key points to, of course, cover in this topic. And one of them is the perfect storm. But of course, there were three triggers for chaos. Remember, Um, what do you think might trigger chaos again? Because last year we knew there was chaos because of the finance bill 2024. So what do you think might trigger chaos again? One, this BBC documentary. Of course, it has shown how police officers, how KDF soldiers actually shot at the young protesters. And in the documentary, you could just see how innocent lives were taken by people who were supposed to, of course, guard the nation, protect the citizens. So this documentary it has come at a time whereby Kenyans were expecting finance bill 2025. So it might trigger if it's not controlled well. Now, finance bill 2025, of course, I believe Ruto himself sent his troops and said that there will be taxes, new taxes that will be imposed on commodities, on some important goods. And of course, this might, of course, remind Kenyans about Finance Bill 2024. That, of course, could Finance Bill 2024 was so was so bad in a way that Kenyans were going to pay taxes. Life would have been hard if it wasn't for that Gen Z protest. And again, this Gen Z trauma, the trauma now, people are going through trauma. Protesters, especially friends to those people who were killed, they have pain. So these people can easily be swayed to, of course, go to the street and, of course, protest again. So I think the president is somehow in a corner and he has to come up with a finance bill that, of course, will release Kenyans. Else, people might go the same direction that we saw Kenya was in last year. Now, Ruto's government, of course, is playing with fire. That's what I can say. The way its troops, the way its allies are addressing Kenyans, they are somehow provoking Kenyans. Remember, 2024 tactics failed. Yeah, 2024 tactics failed. Why? In 2024, Ruto shut down internet. Okay, not Ruto, the government shut down internet. And of course, we saw abductions. We saw abductions. Remember the story of Kwari, yeah, and the lives that were lost through abductions. And of course, all these have never stopped the Gen Zs from posting negative photos of the president in social media. Yeah, so all these tactics failed. Abductions, shutting down internet, they all failed because Gen Zs are still there posting on Twitter. And of course, um, now with this documentary, with what happened last year, the world is watching Kenya. Yeah, ICC, UN might intervene if violence repeats. If at all this protest repeats itself this year, or the Gen Zs goes on the street, what will happen? ICC will intervene and UN might intervene. And of course, this will depict a negative image of the president in the world. And this will lead to, Kenya being denied, of course, loans and some other privileges. And now, um, these days, of course, the Gen Z's evolution, from hashtags to guerrilla tactics, the Gen Zs have now become clever and now they know how they can deal with the government. Remember, 2024, they began by peacefully marching, via TikTok activism. Of course, remember very well, all these demonstrations began on TikTok. And of course, they proceeded, and of course, the young people went to the streets. And that's how it escalated. And of course, there is the guerrilla tactics. The Gen Zs decided that they have no leader, so they have no one to arrest. In fact, these people we have been seeing, pretending that they're Gen Z leaders. They're not the leaders. They're just people who are greedy who wants to use, the movement for their own personal gain. And you know them, eh? People like Morara, those are not Gen Z leaders. Those are the people who just wants to, cash in the revolution. But in real sense, the Gen Zs, they've got no leaders. They're leaderless, and of course, they've got no office. They just use the social media to, of course, communicate and go on the street. So those are the analysis we've gone through. And of course, this shows that Finance Bill 2025 won't be that easy for the president because he has to do what the young people wants. Else, if he fails, what do you think will happen? If he fails, the young people will still stress him. And of course, right now, the world is watching. So the president is a corner. Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. He's in a dilemma. Yes, of course, he wants taxes run the country. At the same time, doesn't want to hurt the Gen Zs. If should he hurt the Gen Zs, what will happen? The Gen Zs will protest. And of course, Ruto will be forced to send the police to stop them. What will happen? We will see bloodbath. And what will happen? The world will intervene. And the image of the president will be depicted in a negative manner.